Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to episode 11 of Another Job Bites the Dust. This week, I'm talking to a good friend of mine, Carmen Farfan. I might have mispronounced the surname there, so if you're watching, Carmen, lo siento. That being said, she is from Venezuela. She is a guitar player, and we got into her story. Basically, it's kind of a very riveting story about how she came to the UK. This is all in the episode. We discussed how she's been performing and just being active in the art scene from an early age. And then we asked some of my favorite questions, such as what's it like studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, one of the elite schools in the UK? But more importantly, which was very important to me, I asked about what's it like after, once you finished, what's the industry like? What advantages or disadvantages, or just if it's just like any other school, once you've left it. And I think it was a very educational, eye-opening episode as always. It just was great to see a different perspective of someone who went to one of the top schools in the UK, So yeah, I hope you enjoy it as always. It was a lot of fun. It's always lovely to speak to her. She's a very bubbly personality. So I hope that all comes through the episode, and have a good one. See you in the next week. Cool. Well, hello, Carmen.
Hello.
What's up? I haven't seen you in how long? I haven't seen you since you've moved. Well before since you've moved.
Yeah, I moved 4 months ago now, and I don't remember when was the last time that we saw each other. But
How's London?
Happy New Year.
How's life in London? You having fun?
It's good. Yeah, it's big and overwhelming, and it's very hot right
Yeah, it is.
now as well.
Yeah. It's been. I was only down there for a week, well, not even a week, but a while ago, and it was roasting. It was really, really bad. Right, you're back on. Hang on, I'm trying to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The internet was gonna be in and out, but I got you back now. That's what matters.
Oh.
Well, welcome to the
Okay.
show. Welcome to the interview. Basically, you're from Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
Don't do that to me. Don't play with my emotions. And you obviously you almost got me there for a second. I was like, I'm pretty sure she's from Venezuela. Just.
Good. You get points for remembering that.
Thank you. And also, you're a guitar player. I remember that.
Oh, well, that's good.
I remember two things.
Yeah.
Venezuela and guitar. Look at me go.
And my name. That's
Well, it says it there in the corner, so technically.
Okay.
I checked just in case.
I mean, you had to remember it to text me to ask me to come. You see, to have the interview. So
there you go. I just saw the picture. I was like, oh, I know that person. I don't know what they called, but look at it.
Oh my god! No.
I'm just messing with you.
How about you?
Yeah, I've been alright. Been keeping busy. I've been doing this. I'm doing a vlog. I'm doing stand-ups. So doing all sorts of things.
That's good.
Yeah, but
I've seen your Instagram. You're very active.
Well, yes, especially now. I'm very self-conscious because my filling just fell out literally before I started this thing. So
your what?
My filling. One of my fillings just fell out.
Oh.
And I can feel the nerve, so I need to drink and eat on this side until I can get an appointment with my dentist. So literally, as we were starting, I was calling my dentist, but they didn't pick up. So now I'm like, oh.
Okay.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, let's put all the drama to the side. Basically, I wanted to ask you, because obviously, we've already established this. You're from Venezuela, you're a guitar player, you studied at RCS, which is like the elite school in Scotland. And like, it's on a bunch of lists, right? So, I just wanted to start with, this is about you. So I wanted to start with tell me about Venezuela. Tell me about it, because I know you have a really cool story about actually ending up studying at RCS. I remember the Facebook post from many months ago. But I just want to, let's start with Venezuela. Tell me about Venezuela and growing up in Venezuela.
Well, I studied, I am from a very little town, close to the capital. So for all of the people that doesn't know anything about Venezuela, the capital is Caracas. It's right in the center. Yeah, good. You get more points. And so it's in the center of the country, and the state where I am from is called Vargas. So Vargas State is where the airport is. And I don't live in the city. I live in the middle of the mountain. So basically, if you go up, it's super cold. And if you go down, it's very warm, which is the city. And in the middle is like a humid, cool weather. It's very fresh, and there is a lot of fog. And it's a really nice town. It's called Carayaca. And yeah, and it's a very artistic place. It's full of musicians everywhere. One of the most important musical groups, like traditional musical groups, are from there, and they have a music school. So that's one of the reasons why I study music.
And you had a lot of exposure early on, or?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, the town is full of musical activities. There is also a little town inside the town, because it's one of the biggest. I think the name is parish, which is like bigger than a town.
Right. Okay.
I don't remember. So it's called parroquia in Spanish.
Yeah.
So it's one of the biggest ones of the country. So it has a lot of sectors and areas, and all of it is full of, as I said, full of artists, painters, poets, musicians, etc.
So a lot of artists in your hometown.
Everything. Yeah. And a lot of people didn't even study this. They've just been doing it for fun. There's a hobby, and their family has been doing it for many years. So it's a very special town. So I grew up there. Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Everywhere you could find someone that plays an instrument. So that says a lot. And so I showed interest in music since I was very young. And my parents decided to support me. And they said, okay, let's enroll you at the music school. You seem to like it. So I was participating in every musical activity at school. So I started to study there. And then this is where the fun comes, because I had to choose between two instruments. One was a flute, this flute, and then the other one was the guitar.
As opposed to which other flute?
The recorder, sorry, yeah. Because in Spanish we call it...
You're gonna have to explain this stuff to me. I'm a simple guy.
I think here you call it just flute, and then the other one is the recorder. But in Venezuela, you say flauta transversa and then flauta dulce, which is the orchestra instrument, the orchestra flute. So it's the flute. Anyway, so there were those two choices, and I wanted the flute.
You chose the fancy flute.
I wanted the fancy flute, yeah. But then, my mom came to the car. I remember we were waiting in the car when she went to ask information at the school, and then she came back and she said, well, there are only two instruments available. There's flute and there's guitar. And then I was like, oh, I want the flute. And then my dad, yeah, but it's not very hygienic. It's like everybody blows in it. It's like full saliva. So it's like, no, it's not a nice instrument. So I ended up getting the guitar because it's more hygienic. So
okay, well that's okay.
It's how everything started. And then I ended up in Scotland. Wow. There are a lot of steps in the middle.
Yeah, I know.
From that day. But anyway, I started to study guitar, and now I'm glad that I did, because the guitar teacher at the moment was my guitar teacher all my life in Venezuela. So, and he's one of the people that supported me the most, and he actually made me want to study and made me want to be a musician as a professional. So my parents are not musicians, and they've been amazing because they have always supported me. Only one moment, my dad, when there was when I had the chance, when I was coming, when everything was done and I was supposed to just travel and come to Scotland to study, he was like, are you really going to do this? He's like, are you really gonna be a musician? But he was just being a dad worried about her little daughter that was leaving the country for the first time and going far away, sorry. And yeah. But apart from that, they were always there for me, and it was amazing. So
All right. Now
yeah,
that's
they
pretty interesting
yeah.
actually. The fact that you're from a town where like music is seen as a viable thing for like most other people, like being an artist is like okay in your free time if you got nothing else better going on, you know go play an instrument, but otherwise go do some job. You know that's for many people that's kind of the experience. So coming from a town where music is regularly seen and celebrated, that's pretty interesting.
It is, I would say, well, it was common to find people that lived from music. So, but there is always that stigma of, I mean, you're a musician, is that
Yeah.
really a job? So that I think that exists everywhere. But in my town, I would say it was common that you would participate in these activities. Maybe they would always be like, are you really gonna study that? Like you're gonna become a professional musician? There were always doubts, but it wasn't that I would say no that uncommon.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, you could see
maybe
examples of people, you know, like you'd actually know a person who's doing it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like in
exactly.
many
Yeah.
cases,
So
I just where I'm from, it was like I didn't like I had to actively seek the people out to be like, oh, this is actually a thing you can do. It's not like I just saw, oh, they're doing that. You know, with acting, I mean, you could go to the theater and see a show, fair enough. But other
yeah,
than that, you were like,
yeah. No, I get what you mean, but yeah, I guess I was lucky.
no,
I
that's
guess
cool. That's really cool. It's you got this small town in the middle of Venezuela, which is like just all in for
yeah,
the arts. That's pretty cool.
yeah. That's true. That's yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about it, but yeah, it's true.
Look at
That's why
you.
I'm such a happy person.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't suffer much. No, but it's yeah, it was a really nice experience. I basically all my life I've been involved in arts and yeah, so I continued to study guitar. I actually got to study flute at some point when I was like 12, 13 years old because I needed to do it. I said, it's like there was this choice in that moment. Now I like now I can do it, so I don't have to choose. But
You were
then
going to
I did it for
rebel.
yeah, but I continued with the guitar. I only added the flute for a year, and then I left it because guitar was my thing. So that's it.
Okay,
But
okay.
I
So your
tried
dad
it.
was onto
So
something. Your dad was onto something.
yeah,
Were you
he knew better than me.
were you like a very rebellious like flute player for like a couple of months, just just
No,
waking up your parents?
you know
Like
what
no.
happened. So you, you know that the real reason was I always had this person telling me you should. I mean, you know how the guitar is now an orchestra instrument. It's a solo
Yeah.
instrument. So she kept telling me like you should play an orchestra instrument because it's better. I mean, there is more stability. Like if you get to play in an orchestra, I mean, you will have a stable job and you can belong to a bigger
Yeah.
thing, right? So it's something more stable than a solo player.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
she
get
suggested
that.
like it's good. It's exactly. So it's good that you have both worlds. It's like you have your solo
Yeah,
instrument and then you can have an orchestra instrument and it's
I was
something
gonna
that is
say
gonna
I don't know a lot of pubs that are gonna hire an entire orchestra for a Friday night for 2 hours. So I think having something that you can play by yourself and still entertain people is still very much useful. You want to be
yeah.
versatile.
Yeah. So but I mean she had a point, right?
Yeah.
And since when I was like when I was 6 years old, I wanted to play the flute. So I said, okay, let's try. Maybe I will end up being both. I mean, a guitarist and a flutist. So I tried it, and then no, like I discovered it wasn't my thing when in my final recital of that year. So I had to play some repertoire for the guitar because I've been playing guitar for so long now. And then it was my first recital, my first flute recital. So I was
Mm.
playing both instruments, right? Not at the same time, but on the same recital.
Well, that
And
would have been
then,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
And
seen those
then
guys in
I was,
Glasgow, you know?
I know. Yeah, it's very impressive. It's true. But yeah, so I was very nervous for
Mm.
my guitar recital. so nervous. I mean, I'm always nervous when I have to perform and I care, right? So when I had to play the flute, I was just like, I fine, I just play the flute. So I didn't feel anything. Like there was no nerves. There was anything. I mean, I was enjoying it. It was okay. I practiced for it, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this is important. No. So I realized it
Like,
was
here's
like,
your stupid
nah.
flute.
Nah. And I wasn't bad. Like I wasn't
Oh,
bad. But
okay.
it
Sorry, I
was
take it back. Here's your stupid flute.
exactly that was the tune. That was the tune. But that tells you a lot. I don't know if you see in the same way, but for me it was like, how is possible that I'm nervous for the guitar and I'm not nervous to play the flute, which is the first time that I actually played the flute in front of people. So I was like, I mean, it's kind of masochism because it's like, why did I suffer so much to play the guitar? But it just made me feel like I care about the guitar, and it's like I don't care much about flute. So I just decided to not keep investing time on it because it was taking time from my guitar practicing. And and yeah, that was pretty much while I was studying at this school. I didn't mention it, but I studied in an middle art technical school.
Middle art
It's
technical school.
yeah. So it was a imagine that a conservatoire and the high school are combined. So when you graduate from there, you are a middle technician. And this one, I mean, there are different technical schools in Venezuela, and mostly like administration or like serious professions, you know. And there is this one that is related to art. So you could graduate in drama, music, or plastics. So
But
I
okay, yeah.
mean, art.
Like the
Art and
manual
plastic.
stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah, painting and sculptures and all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
this
yeah.
part. So art.
One of my friends, he studied sculptures.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So it was the I studied there, and I forgot where I was going with this, but
Well, we're just discussing
that
you know,
was
in middle school.
yeah. So I graduated from there, and I graduated. I mean, I graduated as a guitarist because you could choose when you were in music, you would study like I mean, the conservatory topics and all of this, and you would also have to choose your instrument. So my instrument was guitar, and then when I graduated, it's like a conservatory final recital basically, but technical school. And while I was studying there, there was this Scottish musician who came, guitarist who came to Venezuela, and he was on tour randomly. And my guitar teacher decided to invite him to this little town,
Right?
and he came and he gave some master classes and a concert, and he was very surprised by the level of the students there because there was a quite I mean actually a very good guitar department because of this teacher and all the teachers that were teaching there. And we were many. We were like 20 guitar students, I would say, maybe
In a
less.
class?
But in total, I mean, in the whole school.
Okay.
So like different levels. So you study. I mean, it's this technical school, right? So it's 6 years, and you will have different levels. But there were a lot of us that were studying guitar. I mean, specializing in guitar, and we had a good level. Like,
So
I mean,
how many
imagine.
people do you have in a classroom? Like at one
Well,
class? In your year when you go in for a class, or I don't know, how does it?
it was around 20 something, 28. But for
Okay.
example, in my class, you will find, I mean, my class was the music department. So it would be like I'm the guitarist, and then there is a violinist and a flutist and etc. So, but I'm talking about the guitar department, like counting all the guitarists in all the years, we were around 20. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
so that's what I mean. So if you went in for a class for like, so did you
Oh
have,
well, just guitarists,
yeah,
just guitarists.
or did
Yeah,
you
I would
study
say.
together with different musicians like theory of music, but then you would go and do practice? Is that how it kind of went? Was it like a mix? So certain things you did with other instruments as well, but then your specific guitar lessons would be
Well, your guitar lessons would be individual.
individual.
Yeah, always. I mean, as a solo instrument, you have your lessons in. I mean, privately.
I come from
not in a
classes where
group.
there's always groups, so that's why I'm not familiar with this.
Well, but see, for example, when you study instrument, when you study an instrument, and it's not just with guitar, but for example, if you study violin or flute, you always have lessons, not classes. So you have your private lesson with your teacher, who is going to dedicate an entire hour to you, and you're playing. So what is this? I'm an actor. I've never had a teacher like this.
I've never had a teacher like that in school in general ever. I mean, forget about an actor.
It's like a tutor. I mean, you have a tutor basically. It's just you have an hour every week.
Damn. Now
sometimes twice a week. It depends on how good you are or how bad you are. But musicians, I mean, in general, musicians have private lessons with their teachers.
I was gonna say I'm gonna start looking at musicians now. Like, you had all that time. Well, what's happening, son? Come on.
Well, there are good teachers and bad teachers.
Yeah, well, that's true. No, because so with acting it's slightly different. With acting is basically, if you're doing like scene stuff, right? You do your scene and that's normally in pairs. You don't normally do monologues unless you're doing specifically monologue class, in which case you perform a monologue. But you all get feedback, but you're all still doing it together. Like one person's performing, the other ones are watching. 2-3 people are performing, the rest are watching, and then you keep doing your scenes. That's kind of what you do in acting class. But this one-on-one thing, which it makes sense. But I'm like, damn, I wish I had some one-on-ones. But nice, that's pretty cool. I'm learning about it.
Well, there you go. But yeah, now every time that you see a musician and they tell you, "Oh, I'm taking lessons. I'm taking whatever lessons," you imagine, you can visualize this. It's him and the teacher is listening to him and telling him, "Okay, you're playing this wrong. Use your finger this way. You should play this like this."
Have you seen Whiplash?
Yeah.
Any teachers like that?
Luckily, no.
But have you heard of teachers like that?
Just from the past.
Okay.
From like the teacher of my teacher, they say, "Oh, it was so strict and blah blah blah." They made me leave the guitar. Gave up. It's like,
oh well, that's not great.
I was speaking about this topic with a couple of friends. My friend has a podcast in Spanish, and we were talking about this, like the how toxic it can be, and how we have evolved. I think I don't like Whiplash.
The whole point, the point of the film is not that that's what you're supposed to do. The point of the film is to be like, well, that's a bit much, right? I think it actually kind of goes, make up your own mind, which is, I think, best sort of stories don't go, this is it and this is what you have to believe. It's more like, make up your own mind. But that was it was very entertaining watching it, because I was speaking to a friend a couple of episodes ago, and he was telling me he was in South Africa studying, he was a choir boy, and they very much had that exact experience, like chairs, whatever, getting thrown around, things like that. So yeah.
I've experienced passion, but it's, you can see
it's passion. Define passion, pal.
Someone getting very pissed off. Not with guitar playing, but I've always sang in a choir.
Okay.
But I love the director of the choir. She's amazing. It's a she, and it's amazing because she would get so pissed, but she would never throw anything at anyone. But she would get very pissed, but that's the most that I've experienced. But she would, it's the type of piss that would make you laugh rather than actually be scared and want to give up.
Okay, that's
I've never
good.
experienced that, so I don't have any negative experience.
That's good.
Yet, and I hope never. But I think, well, you tell me about it. How is the acting world?
No, I was lucky. Have I had any? I've never had an act. Okay, I'm making up lies. I've had one teacher who would get. No one would actually get abusive. He would get annoyed, but he would get sort of like, okay, he's losing it now. He's getting so fucking angry. But it was never like, okay, we're worried about ourselves and what's he gonna do next? Like, we were never in physical danger. He would just get very, very angry. I've had that back in Romania. trying to think. I've luckily never had anything, sort of vaguely abusive or anything like that. I've been fortunate with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get someone who tells you, I mean, who cares about you getting better, and they will get angry if you are not getting better. But that's basically I mean, there's nothing abusive and that you will get hit by something. No.
No. There's like he would not start calling you names or things. Every now and again, if he thought we're being lazy or we're not paying attention, we're not taking it seriously, we get a telling off. But I don't think.
Yeah.
Thinking back, I don't think I ever. Yeah, it can be normal to a degree. There's limits. What I have noticed in acting, and that's probably true. I don't know if it's true for music. I'm gonna say it's probably true. Is that in acting you will get some teachers who are full of shit. I don't know if that happens in music, but in acting there's definitely, because it's it's subjective and it's art, bro, and we can do, everyone has their own way, everyone's an individual, and then you're like, you go into this class and you do this class and you're like, what the hell am I doing? And to be fair, sometimes other people are like, oh my god, this is amazing, and you're like, I've been to a few classes where I just did the class and I was like, well, that goes on the CV, but okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's up to you to decide if it's actually useful for you or not.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to have your brain on, otherwise you can't go and be like, teach me, make me good, because that doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it happens also in the guitar world. Like, you can have a masterclass with someone who is an amazing musician. I mean, like the most famous guitarist, and then you have a lesson with him, and he's telling you stuff that you're like, really? I mean, okay, thank you, but after you just not.
Yeah, I think some people that might be really good at what they do, but they can be very bad teachers of it. That's like, it's a different skill. Communicating what you do versus actually doing it. There's two different skills, and some people are not great at both.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of got an idea of how you got into the acting. Now, the acting. Sorry, how you got into guitar?
No. Oh well, so I was telling you about this the Scottish guy.
Yes, go on. I want to know the story how you got to Scotland, but before that, I want to ask about Venezuela as well. But tell me about the Scottish guy.
All right, okay.
Let me hear about the Scottish guy.
Well, he gave some master classes in my town and the concert and blah blah blah. And basically, my teacher spoke to him about the possibility of me studying abroad, and he said that it was a possibility because he's a teacher at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and they offer scholarships to students from everywhere. So I had 2 years left to graduate from the technical school. So we were talking about it, and basically I passed the audition, I got the scholarship, and it took me a while to pass the English test, but I actually passed the English test eventually. And that's how I ended up coming. So a random guy who came to Venezuela from Scotland and met me and met my teacher, and then everything happened. It sounds easy. It wasn't easy at all. It was a lot of economical issues and
that's the story I remembered. I was gonna ask you about, because I know there's a very fascinating tale of how you made your journey from Venezuela to Scotland. But before that, I want to hear about life in Venezuela, man, because it's not like we know a lot about it. I don't know a lot about it. I know a couple of people. I know it's a bit hectic, but let's focus on the good stuff. Like what was it like growing up? I want to hear, like growing up in Venezuela. What's that like?
Well, when I grew up, it was still a normal country.
Like a functioning country.
Functioning country, yeah. Good. That's a good way. I don't want to get into details. I think everybody knows what the Venezuela situation is. But I was lucky that my family was middle class, could afford everything. I had a normal childhood. Again, full of music. I always went to. Can you hear the?
I can hear something.
Some noise in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because there is noise around me.
It's all right.
But yeah, so basically, I was going to choir. I was going to school like any other child. and I was going to music school after school. So basically, primary school, maybe I don't know, maybe it can be new information, but primary school in Venezuela is mostly, because there are some exemptions. It's from 7 a.m. in the morning to 12 in at noon. So you go to school
We're the
very
same.
early, blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Because
let
in
me think.
Italy
Hang
it's
on,
not the
because
same.
it was a mix. You either had the morning. I think there was some years when we went later. We had to like 10 or 12. I think you come back home later, but most of the time you'd go in the morning. You'd go in the morning and you come home
Okay.
by like late afternoon at most.
Oh, okay. Well, there are
Early,
two
not late, early
actually.
afternoon.
It's like there are two options. So one is if you study in the morning from 7 to 12, and then there is another one from 1 to 4 or to 5, I don't remember. But there is always some people say like, oh, you study in the morning because if you study in the morning, you were like a better student. And then the ones that study in the afternoon were not so good. But this is just something between children. I mean, there is nothing.
Yeah, well, you need a reason to make fun of each other. You need a reason to be like,
exactly. Yeah, there was like a fight between like, oh, the AM and the PM. So anyway, yeah. So going to school, and then you would get home, and then in the afternoon I had some music lessons, like sometimes the guitar lessons, sometimes just the music theory, and then usually, as I said, I belong to a choir, and the rehearsals were in the night. So there were rehearsals from 7 to 9 p.m. And my parents were amazing because they would just, my dad always had a car, so he would take me and pick me up all the time. So imagine how many, and the rehearsals, the choir rehearsals were like every night. So from Monday to Friday. And he would take me and pick me up until I was like 18 years old. So
okay, well that's that's having supportive parents, isn't it?
My older brother as well, because he always says you always forget to mention me, but it's like my older brother also drove me everywhere. But
oh, bless him. He's like, what about me?
Them.
Listen, whenever you win an award, you have to like thank him specifically as well. I would like to thank my parents and my older brother.
Yeah, totally. They were amazing, and I was always participating. I was always going to concerts because I said to play guitar when I was 6 years old, and I could play that. I could actually play the guitar. So my guitar teacher would take me everywhere. Would take me is like he would invite me, and then my parents would take me. So which means going from my state to another state, and because I had to perform something, so they were very supportive, and it was a lot of fun. I went basically like most of the places that I visited in Venezuela is because of music. It's because I was doing something there. So it's been amazing. I went to guitar
got to travel
in
and
Venezuela.
see. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Mostly because, as I said, my guitar teacher was always pushing me and motivating me, and
so you were like the wonder child of your class, is what you're saying.
Kinda. I used to be very.
So we're talking to like a young guitar genius, just to put that out there to the world.
I'm not gonna call that myself, but you can say it. That's okay.
Go ahead. I'm not gonna. Sylas, please go ahead. I'm not gonna stand in the way.
I'm not gonna deny it. No.
I love it.
No, like if I'm serious. I was a very good student, like in primary school.
And what happened? Did it all just fall apart? What?
It's just reality happens. Adulthood. It's like paying bills and being a human being, a functioning human being, is harder than you think.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. But I always think about it, and I'm like, how did I do that? Like, obviously, I just have to worry about studying. What? But I was always getting like the best grades, and I was always studying a lot, seriously. And I was a perfectionist. I was I don't know. I was always very obedient. Like everything that my parents would say, I would be like, yeah. So that's why also they were very supportive. So because I was always good. I was always behaving in the best way that I could, getting the best grade, and being normal. Because I wasn't a nerd. Sorry, nerds are normal too. I didn't mean that. But
all right, Mrs. I go around with the guitar and whatever. Let's calm down a little bit. Hey, I used to be a nerd. Nothing wrong with being a nerd. But there's a difference between nerd and the general. It's like prison. There's the general population, and you got the lifers. That's what the nerds are in school. You know, like you got the groups. We all know.
I wasn't a typical introverted. I was actually totally the opposite. I mean, I wasn't a typical introverted. I mean, there is this connection between when someone is a very good student, then it has to be very shy and very quiet. And I don't know. I don't know. There is that connection. I mean, sometimes there is a connection saying like, oh, she likes to be the best, and she only does it because of the appearance and blah blah blah. So
we all had. I think we all had in high school. We all had our little we had the psychoanalysis of like everyone was an archetype. You got the hot girl that's popular, and the hot guy that's popular and probably very stupid, and then you've got the sports people, and then you had like the nerds, and then you had the weirdos, and you had like.
Have you ever actually lived that reality? Because I think it's something that you see in movies, but no one is never like that.
No, it's an exaggeration. Realistically, people, they don't come in archetypes. The people are a bit more complex than that. It's just I think it's more like in high school, because we're all busy and because you got studies to do. You only get to see certain parts of people. You don't get to see them at home. You don't get to see them outside. With your friends, you know them a bit better. You get to see different facets of them. But if my only interaction,
you spend most of your time with them. It's like most of your social life is going to school.
But even then, like. I don't know, like I had a couple of bullies in my high school, and then it was like what blew my mind, right? So these two guys, they were like neighboring class. They were a bit of jokes, every now and again they would like find a way to like bully people and push, like push their weight around a little bit. But then at the end of high school, I remember the final party, and this guy was crying that high school's over, and I'm like, you're fucking crying, you dick. I was thinking to myself, like, you literally, like, you went around just bullying people, and now you're crying that, oh my god, I had such a great time with my classmates, and I'm so emotional, it's over, and I'm like, whew. I mean, he wasn't fake, he was genuinely crying, like, he was genuinely emotional. So it was a different aspect to him, and I think that's why, those archetypes, like, there's some truth to them. There's people that, certain behaviors you'll see regularly because that's all you see, but they're not like a standard box that you can just
they are not just one thing. It's like, because usually you see it in movies, it's like, oh yeah, the nerd is a nerd and that's it. It's like, no, you have a little bit of everything. It's like you can be you are a little bit of a nerd, a little bit of I don't know, extroverted. I don't know.
And you can be a nerd about something, like when that one topic that you're into comes up, you're like, oh my god, let me tell you what I know. And then something else, you're like, whatever.
Did you like high school? Like, how were you? When you were, who were you when you were in high school?
For me, high school was a bit weird because I don't want to go into my psychoanalysis, but overall I did enjoy it. A lot of my early years was there was this massive gap, which I now realize I had like basically very low self-esteem, almost minimum, just because I was raised by Jehovah's Witnesses, right? So I came from a very sort of different background compared to other kids from high school, and so overall I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I think thinking back now, there's a lot of things I wish I just wish I'd known better about myself. I'd been a bit more at ease with myself, because I spent a lot of years just trying to be very people pleasing, and I think that I guess it's a little bit of a regret. I was like, I wish I had known better, but you don't get to pick where you start from in life, so overall I had fun. It was high school. I was definitely one of those kids that he was trying to sort of I was the class clown a little bit. I was studying fairly well, but I was also trying to like fit in, and I just couldn't find it because in the end I found out that I need to fit in with myself. Way.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a different experience for every kid, for every teenager.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a defined time for everybody because it's like you want to have friends, you want to look and be like your friends, and you're in a search, no? Trying to find who you are, who you want to be.
Yeah. Just to let you know, we're probably gonna have to take a break in about a few seconds. But just so you're aware, if it cuts off, that's what happens.
I know it takes a bit to save and to download the thing. So yeah.
Exactly.
Well, for me, like I was a typical. I was extremely excited when the classes were gonna start. I would prepare my backpack and everything, my uniform. I mean, yeah.
And we're back in. Way off to a good start.
Oh, hello.
So, hello. Oh, hang on. Is the internet doing the thing again? We're back. Say something.
I think it just takes a little bit to get used to. Hello.
Yeah, I think you're all right. I think it's just whenever we start, the internet kind of goes a bit weird, but then we're good. We left off with you explaining to us how you were basically Dora the Explorer with your little backpack and excitement and going to school and thirst for knowledge. That's we were.
Now I even have the haircut.
The ponytail. Let's go.
Yeah. I actually know the songs by Spanish, but I'm not gonna sing them.
Fair enough. I did not. I actually never seen Dora the Explorer, so that was.
I have a little brother that is not little anymore, but he used to watch it, so I used to watch it with him.
It would be funnier if he was still watching it, but it's okay.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I was always I don't know. I would say I lived in a very privileged way. I don't know. I mean,
well, this is like Venezuelan privilege. Keep that in mind as well.
It was possible back then.
Yeah, but no, what I mean is like, when you say privilege, like consider your context. Because like if I say, you can be... privilege is different in different countries.
But I was... when I was a child, I mean, actually, until I was maybe 16, 17, everything was okay. I mean, what you would call okay in that time.
Lady, I'm from Eastern Europe. I don't know what my okay is compared to your okay.
Well, it was okay. Or it was a general okay. Everywhere. Okay? Let's say that.
Okay.
Well, in most places, and in most of the developed places. Okay, that's very complicated.
I got it. Okay, we're on the right track.
It was a normal life. It was what you would watch in a movie. I mean, a normal middle class family that was very supportive, very good. I had a normal childhood, happy childhood.
Good.
Even happier because I was always involved in arts. So I was always surrounded by amazing people. And I don't know, I always say like I feel super lucky and blessed that I had the childhood and the education that I had in all the sense. I mean, education at school, musical education, etc. So I was always doing something. I always remember now, like, to tell you a little bit my experience, because I can't speak for anybody else. I was always doing something. So I was either practicing guitar because I needed to, choir rehearsals. I was always learning. Like, my mom was always enrolling me in little courses. Like, I used to do a lot of crafts stuff, like things. I mean, to do stuff with foam. What was it called? Foam? No. Foamy, but what's the name in English? Oh, I don't remember.
There's not foam?
Maybe it's foam, but whatever. Anyway, One of those things. I learning to paint something. I actually did a poetry course at some point. So I was always busy.
Okay.
And my little brother, who is much younger than me, he would always say like, she's always doing something. Like she's never has any free time to do anything else. And my mom wanted to enroll him on music lessons, to study some instruments he could choose. And he didn't want, because he said, then when I grow up, I have to be busy all the time. He's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to play with my animals. And he's like, that's it. So it was very clear.
Yeah, he had a plan in life. He had a goal, and he was adamant about it. And you know what? I respect that in a child.
He had the reference. He's like, I don't want to be like that because I was always busy. And he's like that. Can you take me to this rehearsal? That, can you take me here? Can you pick me up there? Blah blah blah. So yeah, that was basically me, and I was happy. I mean, it's because I wanted to do it as well. It's not because my mom would. It's because I enjoyed it. I was happy to. So. I learned to do a lot of things when I was young, and I had the time to do it, so that's good. And then reality hit me.
Okay. And how did reality hit you, darling?
No, I mean, no. When
I keep realizing I shout a lot because you see I'm listening to you in the headphones, and for some reason I only hear you in this one. So I'm thinking I need to talk louder for people to hear me, and I just literally.
I hear you well.
I know, and I just saw the clip because it just exported, and I'm literally shouting like some grandpa, like, "How are you? Good to see you."
Oh,
I just become conscious. I need to talk a bit quieter. I don't need to shout that much, you know.
Okay, I do the same. I think I speak quiet, but I don't. So
no, but we can hear you clearly. But me, because I had both of these on, and it's it kind of, how the sound becomes a bit stuck in your head. You're like, "Wah! Hear me roar!"
It's okay. It's okay. Even if you're shout, it's okay. It's totally fine.
Okay, well, I'm glad you respect your elders. That's very kind of you.
Yes, my parents taught me well. So, but like to speak a little bit about life in Venezuela. Back then.
Back then.
Only back then. Back then.
We back home in Romania, we say when something's bad, listen, it's not even worth talking about. It's not even worth talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is that I think I left right on time, right before things got actually much worse. All my family is in Venezuela, so I know how things are. But many people would say, I know. Yeah, they are. Thank you. Okay, and many people would say, no, you're exaggerating, like things are not that bad. But I mean, it depends on the realities. It depends how they live the situation. Huh?
What I've seen, it's not that great.
Some people would say it's not that bad. But again, as I'm saying, everybody has a different reality. Oh, are you okay? I can see you.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm
not moving.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Is she back? She's gone. Oh no. Hello? Right, she's back. Hello? Cool. I'm just gonna cut this bit out of us going like.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, exactly.
So for the record, the bits that's missing is us going, huh?
Hello. Yeah. So as I'm saying, is everybody leave the situation in a different way. So the reality is different for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, every country has different, classes and things like that, economically speaking, and
totally.
Yeah.
But for sure, I mean, everything that I lived when I was young, how I lived it, it's just not possible. At least not as easy. No, the education part, not the musical part. But for example, going to these places and being able to move around easily, and I'm gonna pay for this course, I'm gonna pay for that. Like priorities are not those. I mean, you cannot afford to do all of that stuff. At least not in the same way. Not as easy as I did it, for example. And that's I would say the part that I suffered the most right before coming here was the transportation. It just doesn't work. So it was hard for me to get to Caracas to assist to my English course, and because transport was just a mess. It just doesn't work. Seriously, it was very, very stressful. Something that simple like going somewhere, and it's hard. So
I mean, yeah, I think the lacking infrastructure is always a clear symbol that there's something wrong. It's the same. I mean, it's the same. Like I come from Romania, as I mentioned, fairly regularly, and we have our problems. The classic 40-minute wait on a train. That was during my teenage years, anyway. So.
Yeah. So yeah, but as you said, there's no waste time getting into.
Yes. Well, in that case, tell us the story of how you got out of Venezuela.
Well,
no, because I remember reading a very emotional post about your journey from Venezuela to Scotland. So I was like, well, I need to hear this firsthand.
Yes. By the time that I was supposed to travel from Venezuela, I mean, after everything was finally done, I think the hardest part was from the documentation that I needed. Well, was the English test. I mean, to get into uni, for example. Like, I passed the audition, which was me recording myself playing.
Well, obviously you passed the audition.
That was fun. That was the easiest part. I'm serious. That was the easiest part. Also because the teacher already knew me. So it's like he met me in person, and he knew I could play. So that wasn't a problem. And I passed my audition. I got the scholarship. It was like the second step. And then the hardest part for me was to pass the English test, which is so totally on me. Like, seriously, it was just a very hard English test, and I had to do it more times than I wanted to. But anyways, I did it. I passed it. Finally, done. Then there was the actual challenging part, which was get the money to pay for the ticket, because maybe years before that point where I had to travel, it would have been possible because my family could have paid for it. I mean, they could have afforded that amount of money because the country was normal. But when I had to travel, the country wasn't okay. The economic situation was very bad, and there was no access to dollars, and it was very complicated. I mean, my ticket was supposed to be 1,600, 500 pounds, around that. I mean, $1,600, more or less. It depends. I know there are dates, but by the time that actually, one second, let me get back. Because before the plane ticket, I had to pay for my visa. So the visa, you had to pay for the health system for 4 years, because my studying here was for 4 years. So I got the scholarship for 4 years, and you need to pay for that and the visa application, blah blah blah. Anyways, it was
so what are we looking at overall? Like 5K, 7K, 10K? What are we looking at?
No, 3,000. Right now my memory is very bad, also because every time that I tell this story, I tell it in Spanish. So now I'm telling in English, and my memory is just clashing.
Well, musicians and all the drugs, what can I say?
It's hard, right, to tell this story in English. I think it's the first time that I tell it. I mean, recording it, and so it's fun. Anyway,
if you want, you can tell it in Spanish, and we'll do subtitles.
Oh, it's okay. But yeah, it was a lot of money. It was like 3,000 pounds. And
I mean,
I didn't have 2,000 pounds. Obviously, my family didn't have 3,000 pounds, and they couldn't even dream about getting it. So, if they did, it would be a debt for life. And and what we did was we created a GoFundMe campaign, and my teacher was helping from Scotland, and a lot of people donated. But obviously, you need to move a lot, a campaign like that, to get the money fast enough. And I have very little time because I was supposed to leave in, I mean, the school year was starting in September, and I was doing this, I think, June, July, because was when I passed the test. So I needed to have the test before actually getting into having the visa and all of this stuff. So it was very, I mean, it was
last minute stuff. Yeah,
it was a rush. Yeah, exactly. So we did the GoFundMe campaign, and this British couple, decided to lend me the money. So they said, we give you the money and you will pay when you're here. You will pay in parts, however you can. It's like, we don't want you to lose this opportunity. They didn't know me. They knew my teacher.
Okay.
So they paid for my visa, and they also lent me the money for the ticket. Now that I'm thinking, I think £3,000 something was the overall between the ticket and the visa. The visa wasn't £3,000. My mistake again. English, Spanish. I cannot remember what the details. I don't want to, but anyway. But yeah, they lent me the money for it. They paid for it, and then actually applying for the visa, because there is no certainty that you will get the visa. So you have to give all the documentation. You have to give proof that you are going to study here, that you can afford living here, because even if my visa was covering the matriculation, it wasn't covering, I mean, it was covering a part of my
not living costs and stuff.
It wasn't covering everything. So I needed to, exactly. So I needed to have some money, which I didn't, but anyway.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Anyway, you could prove.
You have to be like, I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll be great. Yeah. Sometimes you have to just be like, I've got everything. Yep.
Yeah. and that's it. I finally, I mean, they approved my visa, and this happened in September. So I came here to study. I mean, the academic year starts in September. I came 1 month later. So, which was okay, because the uni knew I needed to wait for the visa. It took long, blah, blah, blah. So it was totally fine.
And they were also aware that you're a genius, so you'll learn everything that was taught in the first month.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. that was yeah.
I'm allowed to say it, eh? I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah, I will not deny anything. Yeah. No, I wasn't, but it's okay. That's how it happened. So this amazing couple lent me the money, which, by the way, they didn't. I mean, I paid part of it, and then they said, like, you don't have to pay the rest. Like, we are happy that we helped you, and we are in contact all the time. I tell them they are my godparents, like my British godparents, because they are amazing. They behave amazing. Yeah, I know. There are good people in the world.
Yeah,
there are very good people in the world. And I feel like I've always had people like this around me, which is amazing. And I say it's because of art. I've had the opportunity to meet all of these people because I've been involved in music and in arts in general. Like, again, I know so many people, so many actors and actresses and artists. I'm always unsure of how to call them in English, but I would say artistas plásticos. Okay. Yeah, the ones that, the painters and the sculptures and whatever.
We know.
All of them. Poets. Seriously,
so the hippie community. What we're trying to.
All my life. Yeah, the happy people, the creative people, the good people. But yeah. So yeah, they helped me, and then I came to Scotland, and it's been an adventure since. So
yeah, but I remember a specific story about
almost 5 years.
I remember a specific story of you and it was a taxi driver or something about at the airport. There was some sort of story at the airport.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, okay, if you wanna get into that, so.
No, because I remember it. Yes.
Yeah, the actual journey was pretty fun. So I left from Venezuela and I went to from Venezuela to Colombia because the flight to London was from Colombia. So I went Venezuela, Bogota, and then Bogota, London. So when I say, I remember the last time I saw my family, because I haven't been back in Venezuela since I left. I haven't seen them since then. And it's amazing because you say bye and then the door just closes and you don't see them anymore. And I was just crying. I was crying so much that the guy that checks your documents, he was like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "Because I'm leaving my family." I was just crying a lot. Anyway.
Fair enough.
I left. I was 19 years old. It's the first time that it was the first time that I left my family for anything, that I was going away from my house. So it's like, it was a big step, a very big step, and very shocking as well. And I was happy because of what was going to happen to me, but it's like, still, it's very crushing. It's like, and I remember the flight was very, I took my flight, it was like 1 hour, and then I took the flight, was half an hour to, or maybe more, whatever, to Bogota. The thing is that to wait for my flight to London, it was 7 hours wait. So imagine that you just left your house, your family, and you have to wait 7 hours to get to your future, right? It's like,
so you fell asleep.
Time to think.
Oh.
No, I didn't. I cry all the time. I was crying, and I kept thinking, if I want to go back to Venezuela, I can literally walk. It's like, I could walk from Colombia to Venezuela. You can walk because there is not the whole world in between. So I was just like, I still have time to get back to Venezuela if I want. But anyway, it happened 7 hours on me. Obviously, I was dehydrated because of that, And then
all the crying.
When we were almost, yeah. When we were about to get to the plane, I saw this guy, and he was almost, he was crying too. He was crying before, but you could see that his eyes were not okay.
You're both like,
and I was like, this guy is Venezuelan too. The guy was Venezuelan too, and we made company. We made friends in that moment, and we said, okay, we stayed talking, and we were like sad because we left our families and blah blah blah. It was very sad. And then we had to get on board, and we weren't sitting close to each other. But when we arrived in London, his family was waiting for him. So he left his daughter and his wife. He's an adult, like much older than me, and then his brother and sister or something were gonna pick him up. And they helped me with I had 2 big suitcases, a backpack, and my guitar. And it was a lot of stuff for a little girl. You know me, I'm very short. So it was like, so they helped me.
And you're also like, it's like a very sad Dora the Explorer, just like a heartbroken, like,
yeah.
I'm going on my first adventure.
I wasn't crying. No, when I landed in London, I wasn't crying. I did all my crying in Bogota, which was okay. I had 7 hours to cry, so that's enough.
Fair enough.
Right, I had more things to worry about, like not understanding any of the indications. It's like I couldn't understand anything. I could speak very little, and it was very bad. And that's why these people helped, because they could understand, right? They could, okay, you have to go this here, blah blah blah. So they put me the right way. Where I was gonna go, it was Heathrow, so it's one of the biggest airports.
Was it T5? Which terminal? You remember?
I don't know. I don't remember anything because it was everything blurry and.
From all the tears, okay, fair enough.
They put me on a train to the right, to go to the right gate, to the right plane.
Yeah.
In that huge airport, and then when I arrived at the gate and I had to put to send my luggage, the baggage, they told me that it was closed because they needed to arrive 1 hour, at least half an hour earlier. No, at least 1 hour earlier to put because you have to go on.
So the luggage. Okay, thing. For your got you.
Yeah, exactly. And
you're like, lady,
I was like. What? What am I supposed to do? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I panicked. seriously, I panicked immediately, and they could see that I was like, I started to cry again. So they found someone who spoke Spanish, and they were talking to me, and it's like, you can take the bus or you can take the train, and I'm like, lady, I don't have money, I cannot do that. And I'm like, I was just crying because I was thinking, this is my thought, right? I could see them speaking. I wasn't understanding anything. I wasn't even listening. Even the one that spoke Spanish, I was not paying attention because I was panicking in my brain. And I was thinking, I cannot go back to Venezuela from here. I cannot walk from here.
I can swim.
It's like, it's too late now. It's like, what do I do? And I didn't know what to do. It was just like, I don't know. Seriously, I didn't speak. I wasn't trying to sort out anything. I was just panicking. It was just a moment of me crying, sad.
Well, yeah, because
not knowing what to do.
You literally just left your family. You're half depressed. And you don't speak the language properly. And then this person's going, oh no, we can't take your luggage on the plane. You're like,
I know.
I'll give up. I'm done.
You can buy the next ticket, and I'm like, I don't have money. Like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I had like $500 or something. I don't know.
Oh.
But that's nothing, and that's all the money that I had.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So until I got my scholarship, so I was just like, I couldn't do anything else. And then I remember my guitar teacher was gonna pick me up at the airport. So I mean, and I was like, if I lost my flight, then I didn't have internet as well, because until you don't check in, you don't have access to the Wi-Fi. And I didn't have data on my phone because Venezuela, blah, blah. I mean, whatever. It was so I couldn't contact anybody. I was just, I didn't know what to do. And then I don't know what happened. Seriously, I think it was like half an hour, 40 minutes, when the guy, because they also told me, like, you cannot the airline, it was British Airways. And when I traveled from Bogota to London, I had my 2 suitcases, as I said, as a baggage, so they go underneath on the plane. And then I had my backpack, and then my guitar counted as hand luggage, so they didn't have any problem. The airline that flew from Bogota to London, they didn't have any problem with my guitar. And then when I arrive in London and I'm supposed to to travel to Glasgow, British Airways says, no, the guitar cannot go as a hand luggage because it's too big, blah, blah, blah. And if he doesn't have a hard case, you cannot make it pass as baggage because it's gonna break or something. So it's like, we are not gonna take responsibility, blah, blah, blah. It's like, so basically you're telling me I cannot take my flight because I arrived late. I arrived up to send the luggage, basically, that because I could still take the flight. And then you're telling me that I cannot travel with my guitar. It's like, can you not leave it somewhere and then just I'll pick it up later? Just come back and get it somewhere. I was just like, so all of this information, I was just like, I don't know what to do. Exactly, it was super weird. And then at the end, what they told me, okay, look, this guy, he said, we're gonna put you in the next flight, but you need to send your guitar as baggage. You cannot put it as hand luggage. So find a way to put your guitar, to protect your guitar. At this point, I was just like, I don't even care. I can just leave it here. I just want to arrive to Glasgow. I go buy another guitar. My guitar is nothing special. The guitar that I brought from Venezuela, it was.
Well, we know the talent is in here. We know.
Exactly. So I can play as good with any. But so at this point, I was so stressed and so. I just said, I don't care if your rice broken. Seriously, I don't care. I just want to get to Glasgow and rest and sleep and arrive, right? So I was like, the flight from Bogota to London, it was 10 hours flight. So I've been traveling at this point 2 days because I had to wait 7 hours, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I went, they told me, they got me the flight and everything. Yeah, well, it was like 3 hours to the next flight. So I had plenty of time. And I put my suitcases. And then I went down at the airport to wrap my guitar into bubble bubble wrapping, whatever. So I wrapped the guitar and then I wrapped the case and then wrap it again. So I think I paid like £30 for that. Back then I didn't even know how much money I had in my hand. I was just like, I exchanged it and I was paying something. I was just like, I don't care. I just want to get home. So it was horrible. It was generally bad. And imagine these like bursting tears and like looking very good because you slept a lot, right, on your flight. So yeah, it was very nice. And finally the guy, I asked him like, how did this happen? Like, how did I get on a flight? Whatever. And he just said to me like, I have a daughter. It's like he saw that I was sad and poor, and he just felt sorry for me, and he's like, I don't know.
Do have a question. I do have a question. This guy, did he not have a daughter 2 hours ago before he started putting you through all this nonsense? Did he just remember 2 hours in? He's like, this girl's like completely crying, broken down, shell of her former self, and she at that point, hang on, I'm also a parent. Let her pass. Like,
I don't know what they did. I'm serious. I don't know if he paid for this. I don't know who paid for this. I don't know how to sort it out, but they did, and I'm thankful because yeah, I got to Glasgow. I mean, after that, I did my check-in, and then I only had to worry about my backpack, and everything else was gonna arrive in Glasgow. And it was like that. My teacher, was waiting for me at the airport, and my nightmare was. Got to the end. So.
And then the real nightmare can begin.
Was over. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it was. I remember when I got to Glasgow, like when I arrived in the house. Also, that I rented a room from Venezuela, in a family house. So this lady was super nice, and I think that was actually the best that could happen, like the best that I could choose, because it was a very safe place, super nice lady. We're still friends until now, and it was the best. It couldn't be better. Seriously, the place was amazing. The people were amazing. One of the other tenants, we became friends. We are friends, and I would say she was my first best friend in Glasgow. And
BFFs for life.
And yeah, so yeah. and my guitar arrived complete, so it wasn't broken. It's good.
British Airways.
Yeah, sure. Never use British Airways if you're a musician. So
you got your guitar.
And actually, like a couple of days after that, yeah. After that happened, like 2 days afterward, a very famous guitarist, Scottish guitarist, he posted like British Airways down, and like a photo with the logo and everything. He's like, they didn't let me travel with my guitar, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I know. So it just happened to me. So it was so much. It made everything worse. It was already bad. It just made it worse. So yeah. Anyway, that was a little bit of how I actually got here. So it's not just how difficult it was to pay for the visa. Hard to actually travel. It's like
fair enough. Listen, I was gonna ask you another question, another curveball question, which is, what's it like studying in one of the elite conservatoires in the UK? Let's go.
It is very good.
Anything else to add to that?
I would say.
Do we need to unpack?
No, I'm joking. No,
Is this one of those it's not worth talking about situations?
No. I am very happy, especially because of the guitar department. I can only speak about the guitar department because it's the only experience that I've had, and I would say I never got to be close enough to the other people to know details about their departments. So
was there no interdepartmental drama that you could pick up on?
I never got to it because by the time that I could speak English and understand English, a pandemic happened. So
okay, fair enough. By the time all the juice.
My last 2 years, I know I didn't get any because I didn't. Seriously, I'm such a disappointment because my first year, look, my experience in RCS again is also blurry because my first year was me adjusting to all of these changes, which are which means coming from Venezuela. So there is a real light, sorry. So adjusting to the weather, to the culture, to language, more
the language.
To the educational system as well, which is very different from Venezuela. So yeah, I was a great student in Venezuela because I understood how everything works. But here I was like, why I'm not getting results? Why I'm not getting the best grades? It's like I'm doing all the best, and it's like I'm not the best here. How is that possible? But also,
unacceptable.
Understanding how everything. Yeah, I know. Duh.
Excuse me, genius. Hello.
I was very busy. And tired, like emotionally and mentally tired, understanding everything, trying to understand everything. That when I got to understand it, again, pandemic happened. It's like when I got to be used to and be comfortable and say, okay, now I know exactly how everything works. Now I know the people that I need to know. Now, like, I understand where I'm living. Like, I can socialize. I can become a person, a functioning person, because I'm all settled. Then seriously, pandemic happened. It's literally that. It's like, it took me a year because the first year I wasn't working. The first year I was only studying, so it was good. It was okay.
Yeah, because we met at your workplace once. I'm pretty sure. I'm not gonna name it.
That was the second. Yeah.
But it was on the corner near Central Station. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and so on my first year, Sylas, I was literally just focused on understanding, on studying. My best grades are from first year because I was only studying, and then my second year I decided to get a job. So that was another shock, right? Because it's like a shock because studying and working and again, it's not the same thing to speak English at uni where everybody is very gentle and their accent is very understandable.
It's international as well.
Yeah. I would say from every
you're talking to professors and students. Yeah, and students from all over the world.
Yeah, so
as opposed to going down to Central Station
so
going, excuse me, Paul, can I get a wee bit of this with us? Thank you.
Exactly. So when I started to work, it was also me getting used to, again, this new routine of me studying and working and meeting people. Because then when you start to earn money, then you start to spend money. So you start to socialize. And actually that's how we met, because I was actually starting to go out. I never went to a club in Venezuela because I live in the town where there was no clubs and I was far away from everything. So it was impossible. So my first time in a club was in Glasgow. And I started to socialize then on my second year living in Glasgow. And then, like, when I started to make friends at uni and I started to be, to be a functioning normal person that was
finally starting to find out all the gossip.
Then everything just went wrong because of pandemic. So
you had to stay at home.
My experience in RCS, my experience in RCS was that me getting used to the system, to Scotland, to the UK in general. And then when I got to it, it was too late. But my experience is it reduces to the guitar department, which was amazing because the teachers there are, my guitar teachers are just great. And the guitar community in general is very, in general, internationally speaking, is very friendly, and it's good to be part of it because we are. I would say that we are very, very friendly. We like to socialize.
Not a lot of divas. Not a lot of genius
No,
wonder
no,
child.
I mean, well, even those are nice. One second. You can
No worries.
let me
Just
start.
to let you know, we're gonna probably take a break again because it's gonna coming up to the
Yeah,
40-minute
thought
mark.
so.
After that, I've got like 2 more questions, and that'll be that. Just letting you know. But
I know, I know, because it's too long. Of course, I watched that.
no. It's just because
I'm not
after
that
the
interesting.
no, it is interesting. Listen, before I would stop at this, and that was that. So I'm just letting you know.
That's okay.
No, cool.
So yeah, I mean, my experience in RCS was good because of the guitar department. So I mean, the teachers are good. They are very caring, and if I have to compare it with
Recording. There we go. Right, so we're just saying that you loved RCS because of the guitar department, and if you're going to compare it to anywhere else, then that's where we got cut off.
Well, I was going to compare the university. I mean, or at least the educational experience. In Venezuela, before I was coming to Scotland, I did, this introduction to university is like a 3 month period, or
Okay. So you
it
can have
depends
like,
on different.
I don't think I'm familiar with that back home. We'd have preparation for exam and like entry level exam, like audition stuff. But I don't think we ever. I was never a part of a program that was like a little taster of uni, to put it that way.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not sure how to explain it that it makes sense in English, but that's the best way that I can describe it. It's like it's like an introduction to university, basically.
Is it like we're gonna simulate university style teaching?
Yeah, you go to uni. You go to uni. You get to meet the teachers. You get to know a little bit of the classes, and yeah, it's for you to try. I'm right now, seriously, my memory is just very bad. I should have read more about it to explain it better, but that's pretty
okay.
much what it is.
I'm not giving people homework.
So but there is
next time please have a 5,000 word essay prepared, your personal thoughts and feelings.
I cannot do that. But
well, you can try to put it into song if that helps.
Yeah.
Soy un hombre muy honrado.
That's true.
I'm sorry, that's my Desperado reference.
Well, no, I didn't get it, but okay. It's okay.
That's fine.
Next time.
So it's gonna be sad and old here in the corner by myself.
Oh, no.
I can still hear you.
Again. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I did that just because I was waiting to have the audition results and the scholarship results. So in the meantime, I was doing that, and it was I also have the references from friends that studied music or that studied at university in Venezuela in general.
Yeah.
And compared to the conservatoire, because I can only speak about the conservatoire as well. Like I didn't study any. I haven't seen up close the experience of others universities. I heard, but I cannot get into details. So speaking just about that experience that I had in Venezuela and some references and my experience in the conservatoire, I was very it was very contrasting. How, for example, we at uni, at the conservatoire, we don't have tests. Like we never had actual exams in the subjects that were not guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, until the end. Like I explain myself. So
yes, please,
you had the modules. Yeah, you had the modules, and then after each term there were no exams, but what's the name? When you have to submit something. Dissertations?
Dissertation is normally at the very end, but is it like an essay or is it like a little...
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, but you have a submission.
Yes,
Let's say that you have a submission, and for example, yeah, it could be an essay. For example, for music theory, it was the analysis of a piece and all like these type of things. But you knew what was going to be your, I mean, yeah, your submission at the end of the term. So after 3 months, so you were going to your classes. You were having your class with the teacher, understanding the topics, blah blah blah, and you could decide when to work on your submissions. I mean, on your essays or analysis or whatever you had to do for each module.
Yeah.
And that for me was very contrasting, because it's like, I'm not saying in Venezuela it can work like that, but you have exams. Like, you say, oh, this, I mean, you have teachers that prepare obviously the structure of how you're going to be evaluated during the term or during the year, but you have, I mean, you have a lot of things every time. So you have a lot of exams, you have a lot of submissions, like little homework that they send you. It's like, oh, you need to bring this next week, you need to do this for next lesson, you need to, etc., etc. So it works more like that. Like, you're constantly under pressure, you're constantly evaluated by your teacher. So I mean,
yeah, so
here it's not like that. So at least at the conservatoire. So
no, I'm listening. I was just gonna say, yeah, it creates a more of a that, yeah, as you said, more pressure. It's more of a slightly more stressful environment, even because you got.
Yeah, I mean, you have one submission. It's like, for example, the conservatoire, again, you have one submission at the end of the term, and it's like just one submission at the end of the term.
Yeah,
which sounds easy, right? But I mean,
but one can be enough.
Again, as I was saying. Yeah, that's the thing. And basically, you are on your own. It's like, you can decide when to work on it, and that leads to you leaving it to the last minute, which is
obviously,
which depends on you. Doesn't depend on anybody else. So obviously, there are people that were preparing with time and working weekly on their projects. So by the end,
yeah, the nerds,
they will be done. They didn't have to. Yeah, responsible people. And but the thing is, it's very free. It's like you choose your time. I mean, you choose when you want to work on it, how you want to work on it, and the guidelines are very open. It's like you have the guidelines there, but at the same time, it's like there are so many things that I can do with this, and I don't know what is the right way to do it. So that was my way of approaching this. It was like, it's so
vague,
ambiguous.
Okay.
Like, yeah, vague. Yeah. So it was vague. It was, at least for me, especially because I'm not used to the educational system in the UK.
Yeah.
So it was very shocking. So because in Venezuela you have everything. I mean, the teacher tells you this, you have to do it this way, and you understand exactly how you have to do it and how to do it right. So here is very like, I mean, you can do it this way. These are the general guidelines. I mean, they explain it to you because they do, and they try to. I mean, they say you should be able to bring this information by this time. I mean, this week you can discuss it with me if you have to. But it's so free and so flexible that it was very contrasting from my experience and from my educational system. So it was very different. It was hard to understand it and to get used to it.
So I'm actually, do you have a follow-up question from the RCS, which is how many people get, so how many students do you get in a year at your class, in your?
Oh.
I know in acting was it like 20 something.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I would, but the thing is, we had just a couple of lessons that will be like lectures, and I could actually see all the music students. Like, you had the jazz department, I mean, the traditional music department, the jazz department, and the classical music department.
I'm curious about your department specifically.
Well, I cannot tell you exactly how many we were, but because I am not sure. And I only remember like the full amount of musicians, again, putting together traditional jazz and classical. And I would say we were around 100, maybe more than 100.
Right.
So I am not. Maybe I'm wrong.
And was 100, was
But
that 1 year, all the musics, like all the different music
one year,
departments?
yeah,
Okay.
year one. For
And
example,
how
this is
many people do you know normally apply for this 100 positions ish?
I don't know. I don't know. I cannot tell
I
you.
remember something like 8,000 out of that. 24 get selected for like acting, something like that. I could be completely wrong, but I know it's some ridiculous number, right?
I cannot. Don't
So
have that information.
what the question I have for you is, so this is what I'm curious about. For us rest common folk who are not geniuses and don't make it in on the first try. No, what I'm curious about, so obviously you can always try and try and try again until you get it. But for those that don't, do you think something like the RCS, is it absolutely vital? Like if you want to have a career and make a living, do you think it's absolutely vital to go there? Or do you
No.
think you can realistically do your own thing and build up your? I'm happen to lean towards. I think you can probably do your own thing, but I'm curious if you've noticed any doors opening for you just because you slap down the CV and it says RCS. Do people go, oh, okay, interesting, keep talking? Or what's your experience been with that? Any?
No, I would say no. It's not necessary because yeah, you can just recently graduated. I mean, graduate. Yeah, I graduated recently from there, and it's like, yes, I don't see any difference because I came from there. So at least not now. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing the things wrong because
This is
I
always
still don't understand how it works.
Yeah, it's always context dependent. Because if you go down to your pub to play guitar for an evening, then as long as you can play well, they'll be like, okay, come along. But
Yeah,
if it may be
I
in
think
it may be in certain circles, people will be like, oh, she went there, like that's very good. Like I guess it's very much depends on the person that you're standing in front of.
yeah, but it's like everything. It's like there is no stamp or there is no guarantee that if you graduate from certain place, you have a career. I mean, you're gonna have
Yeah.
a successful career. It's like everything. I mean, you can come up from everywhere, but if you're not good, if you don't do what you need to do to get to, I mean, to get to play in places or
Yeah.
to teach somewhere, it's like it's just about you. It's
Oh yeah, that's
about
why I
how
was curious
you.
to be honest, because I think sometimes I remember before I very much had the mentality of how I not that I need to get in there, but I really wanted to get in there, right? And I'm sure many people
Yeah.
have the same feeling. And when I didn't, I felt bad for a little while. And after I was like, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And I
I will
think for
say
many people, it's important to hear that it's not the end all be all. It's a fantastic place to study, but your
yeah,
skills are
I
more
will say
important than your diploma.
going more on about what you're just saying. Um, Once you are in RCS, there are a lot of things going on inside that you need to be very connected. Like you need to be very active. If you are, you have the chance to participate in competitions and you can apply for different organizations that they usually go and they have connections. I mean, they have
Yeah.
agreements. It's a big network. So they usually, like, these organizations go to RCS and they give a lecture and they tell you, oh, you can apply for this, you can belong. I mean, you can be part of the organization, so you can
Yeah.
play constantly, blah blah blah. So all of these type of things, like they give you a lot of information about what's going on in the musical environment. In my
Yeah.
case, I'm speaking just about music. So I guess if you are active, if you participate in all of these things that are happening when you are studying RCS, then you have more chances to, I mean, to get into what you want
So
to
it's a
do. Like,
networking thing more. It's more of a
yeah, so
matter of
I
exposure.
exactly, but I think I didn't do much of it because of all the things that I just told you. I was so busy trying to adjust. I was so busy understanding the basics
Yeah.
that I didn't have time. I didn't have space in my brain to think about
Yeah.
using all of these benefits that, yeah, they are there when you are studying there. And I guess even when you graduate, it's just, again, like it's been always me trying to get used to what's happening at the moment that I cannot see farther. And it's like, oh, look, there are, like, it was me understanding a class, like trying to understand the teacher that was explaining something to me. And then it's like, oh, there are these chances to participate in this competition. You can enroll here. Maybe you can travel and play somewhere else and blah, blah, blah. So I was just like, I just really need to work on this essay. And it's like, because it's hard for me. So but that's just my experience.
Listen, well, we're just talking about your experience. That's very relevant to this interview right now.
Well, I would say the benefits of studying in these important places is all the benefits that you get.
Yeah.
When
Have you
the
seen
opportunities
anyone
that you can
taken?
get if you are. I know.
Did people try to take advantage of it? Yeah.
I know. Yeah, they are like, especially there's a lot of collaboration happening as well. Like, for example, many musicians collaborate with the theater, with the musical theater part. Like, they play and then they get to perform with them when they go on a tour. So these type of things, and they get invited to festivals because of that. There is a violinist. Violinist that started younger than me. We used to live together, and she was part of a kind of festival. Maybe I'm saying the wrong information, but the point is that she was part of this festival because of RCS. So she got to be part of this organization, all of this stuff. So she got to experience different things because it was through RCS. I actually did as well a little bit. Like, I played in a quartet, and we went to a guitar festival in Ullapool in the north of Scotland. So and it was just because of RCS. I got to play in other places because of RCS. So, like, there are a lot of things happening, and I wasn't the best in getting involved into these things because I was just overwhelmed.
You had other
else.
problems. You had more urgent issues to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. But for sure, other students that are, those people that are always participating in everything, for sure, they have opportunities there.
So that's
still, I believe, is not the only way to do these things.
So that's two lessons learned there.
It brings you closer to opportunities, maybe, if you know how to take them, because that's the thing. If you are not involved, if you are not paying attention, then they just slip through your fingers, and you weren't part of it. So
basically,
it depends on you.
Yeah.
But like everything.
I was gonna say that. So basically, it's not the be all end all. So if you didn't get in, try again, or just make your way in another path. But you can still don't give up, keep going. And on the other hand, if you did get in, if you can, keep your eyes open and don't just be like, well, I made it and this is it. It's all cloud nine from here on, lads. No, the work you just reached another level, so you can keep working.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to keep your eyes open. That's the thing. You have to be always there, always active, because
that makes sense. I think that's
so
cool. I was actually curious because obviously now you're a professional in the big world in London. Hello. So I was wondering, how uni's over, the fun times are over now. So what's it like being a musician out in the big bad world?
What was that supposed to be fun? What?
Well, it's not gonna get any easier now. That's not actually. I'm just messing with you. I think actually in certain ways, because you have your own, you can focus more on the stuff that you want specifically. It might actually be more fun. The freedom is definitely, for me as an actor, has been anyway, just because I can do what I want. I don't have a class to get ready for. I've done all that, thank you very much. Now I can create my own stuff.
It's been a year. It's been a year that I studied, and it's been amazing actually. I'm glad.
How was the first month after finishing uni? Did you have the blues? Did you have the post-uni little depression? You're like, what am I supposed to do with my life now?
No, I think pandemic ruined a lot of my experience, because it ruined the last 2 years of uni when I was actually ready to be at uni, because, as I said, it took me 2 years to get used to uni, being in the UK, and then I couldn't enjoy it properly. So it's kind of frustrating.
So you're not bitter about it or anything, is what you're saying?
No, totally. It's not like I cried about it more than 7 hours, but yeah, sure. It's not like I complain about it. But yeah, it's okay. We survived. So it could be much worse. You could be in another country with let's not complain about it. Still, like, it doesn't mean that it's not important. It doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us. Just because we didn't suffer it in the way that other people suffered it, it doesn't make it less. It doesn't make it less painful.
Listen, when you hurt your pinky, in the door or in the corner of a bench or whatever, corner of a chair, does it help to be like, well, at least you didn't lose a leg? It's like, shut the fuck up! I just hurt my pinky. Ow!
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no point in being like, well, other people suffer more. Yes, and I'm very sorry for them. But right now, I'm suffering. Can we deal with this?
I know. Exactly. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. But I wasn't depressed after I finished. I was very angry. I was just angry that I had to leave. I had to graduate in that moment. I was just like, good. That's my 2 years of studying abroad gone. But thanks.
Fair enough.
I kept thinking, it's like, well, eventually I will do masters, but visa, scholarship, blah blah blah. It's like, no, let me rest for a little bit. It's like, I want to be a person for a while.
So hang on, so you've been in the UK for coming up to 5 years now, right? So soon you'll be able to become a citizen, I think.
My visa doesn't count for the citizenship because it's a student visa.
So okay, so you need to live another 5 years? Well, how after uni?
Waste time getting into that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's complicated, but I hope there is a way for me to stay, and I really like the UK in general, and it's been, with this moving to London, it's been exciting. It's like you have a white canvas just waiting for you, and there's so many things to do. I'm teaching right now. I discovered that I really like teaching, and this is the reason why I want to teach. So
I was gonna say, how do you pay your bills? Because London's London, son.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Well, I teach, and I've been playing gigs. So it's been an adventure, and I've discovered so many things about what I want to do. I became a musician because of this teacher, right? This teacher that decided to go to this little town and teach guitar, and there were guitar teachers there already. They were amazing. But this teacher brought like more how do you say, like the community feeling, and the actual visualization of people becoming professional guitarists out of the guitar department. So he brought this reality to people that were maybe just studying guitar because of because they wanted to, because it was a hobby, because that's it, but they weren't expecting to become a professional guitarist. And then this person made it clear. He just put it in your face. So I would like to do that. Like, I would like to create a guitar department that actually bring guitarists to the world. So I don't know where, I don't know when, I just know it's gonna happen, because when you believe in it, then you can make people believe in it. And I became what I am right now because of that. So I want to bring that to the guitar community. I want to offer that to the guitar community. And once you have a solid guitar department, you have good guitar students. People that want to become, I'm not saying that all my guitar students are going to become guitarists, but I want to offer that to them if they want to do it. So guitar festivals come out of it. So that's my idea of who I am and what I have to offer as a musician. So apart from that, I always I still want to be a performer, a solo performer. I also want to work with other musicians at some point. Again, it's like I have the ideas. I know they are going to happen. Now I know I want them to happen, and I'm working for that. There are many steps in the middle, but I feel that I didn't know this last year for sure. And now, for example, I know that if I want to study again, it will be related to education because I want to add something else to my degree. I have a performance degree. So now I want to add an educational degree. So always related to music and guitar. So because again, I like it and I want to.
This is a story of you evolving as a person, you discovering more about yourself and things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And about the world. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, finding my place in the world. And it's like, there you go. It's good. I think it's early in the life. People take ages to get there.
Yeah,
I'm happy. But maybe tomorrow I change my idea, but
maybe tomorrow you'll pick up the flute again. You never know.
No, that's never
I swear to God, if I see you 5 years from now with a flute, I'm gonna be like, I told you.
You have the proof. You would just make a meme out of this video. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. 5 years later, just.
Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, and I've been playing and singing. Right now, I'm playing
singing as well.
Yeah, I sing. I've always sang. I don't consider myself a singer.
I'm sorry. I did.
No, because it sounds like now I sing. It's like no. I used to sing in a choir. So
you're not half bad. You've had practice.
I never call myself a singer. I will never. But
don't you dare! You're gonna offend all the singers.
No. But I do sing and play, and I'm doing a lot of popular music, which is something that I've never done much. I've always been a classical guitarist and focusing on reading music, and it's been interesting developing that side as a musician. So playing and singing, being able to play popular music, making my own adjustments to the songs and all of this stuff. So maybe even I would say I've been exploring a lot, experimenting a lot, and it's been fun.
Teaching, singing, playing in pubs, clubs, restaurants, and a lot.
Yeah. So that's it's been an adventure, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Okay. Well, good. The journey has only begun. You know.
I know. Yeah, it only gets harder. That's the funny part.
It doesn't. People say that, and it gets different. You get new challenges, but you also get certain advantages to it as well. So yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm doing?
Go on.
This organization, they contact me because I have my teaching advert, and then they contacted me saying, do you want to teach for us? We teach music to children. Basically, we introduce music to children. We go to nurseries and schools, and they are very young, and you just go and teach and play music for them and play with them. In a interesting way, so they get to listen to and to be close to music in general. That's it. So I was like, all right, why not? I've got to pay my bills. So and it's not like I'm doing something related to what I like. So it's been fun, and I like it. I like it too. So there you go.
Nice. So you just sit down and get the mean face on, the serious guitar performer face, and then in front of children, they're like,
that's exactly what I do.
Because I've seen some photos that you posted of you, in your serious performer face, and that's some.
Yeah, that would make them cry.
I wasn't gonna say that, but it sends a very clear message. Of don't mess with me. Yeah, I'm performing right now.
For my performance, don't dare to cough. I don't know.
Get the slippers and be like, listen, I can play with one hand and hit you with the other one. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that brings us into the final two questions that I'd like to ask of people. And one of them is, obviously, since you're an artist and you've already mentioned that you've done a bunch of odd jobs, Is there any job that you've done to pay the bills that stands out as the craziest job you've had so far?
No, I don't think I've had a crazy job.
Besides selling Italian pasta on a street corner.
But that's not crazy.
Depends on the customers.
People, I've worked in hospitality, but fun fact, I've always wanted to, like, that came out weird. I've always wanted to work in hospitality because
that did not come out weird. That came out just right.
All right, okay. Because I know the way I articulated the words, it was just like, but anyway. Coming from Venezuela, I grew up watching a lot of American movies, and you see how like teenagers, they have a part-time job and whatever.
Yeah.
So I always thought myself that, I mean, I never dreamt about studying abroad, but my imagination, 13 years old Carmen was always thinking, okay, when I'm studying at uni, I will have a part-time job or something like that. Yeah, exactly. I will work in a cafe or something like that. Actually, I always imagined a cafe.
Well, that was your problem. Then, you weren't really working in a cafe. I think that was your first problem.
Well, yeah. All right, you were there. You used to go there. What are you talking about?
The food was great. I'm not gonna lie. The food was great.
What even better? What are you talking about?
Okay, well, it's a very specific Glaswegian spot there.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I mean, for me, working in hospitality was an experience. It's like, it's not just because I had to get the extra money, obviously, but I always thought it would be a good experience. I mean, as a person, you learn a lot working.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, doing this type of jobs. So
working with people.
Yeah, for me, I thought it was a necessary thing to do, and a very educational experience. And it was also paying my bills, so I was happy to. I met a lot of people. Actually, my friends from Scotland, and most of them are from the places where I worked at, rather than uni. So, okay, yeah, you were like, and it was okay. I know. I mean, but many people, any students or of any professions work there. Like my boyfriend is an architect. He also worked in hospitality. So it's not just because artists tend to work in hospitality. Maybe we tend to.
I didn't say hospitality. It's just artists are famous for working in many different weird jobs because you got a gig, so you can't really have. Some people don't have job stability as much.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. So then it was me. Yeah, I kind of changed your question.
No, because
I haven't done.
Go ahead.
No, I haven't done. I mean, apart from working in hospitality, I haven't done any super weird jobs. What jobs? I know, I'm curious. What jobs have you done?
No, I haven't done anything too weird, but I've watched some of the interviews that I've done before this. You'll find out. But like Brad Pitt, for instance, he used to drive strippers around. That was one of his jobs, and he would literally show up. The stripper would do her dance. He'd collect the clothes, grab the stripper, take them back to the car, and drive off. And that was his gig. That's how he made living for a while. I don't know if he ever considered stripping himself, because I'm sure he would have made a killing in the right market. But anyways, the other question I was going to ask from you, which is food related. What's the one or two Venezuelan dishes that you either miss or you're making still to this day, or that you think the people in the UK should know about? Arepas. Oh yes, I should have seen that coming. Yes.
Yes, that's it. I think we'll conquer the world with arepas.
Well, tell us about arepas. Ahora, aquí.
Okay.
Por favor.
Arepas. Different countries in Latin America make their own version of arepas.
But as we know, true arepas comes from Venezuela.
I am obligated to say yes, but I also have to accept that other countries make them. What I have to do.
Begrudgingly accept that they.
Yeah, I have to. But no. The thing I will explain better. But it's a type of tortilla made of corn flour that you mean, you basically make mix the flour with the water, and then you make a little tortilla kind of bread. It looks like a bread. It's like,
yeah, it's like a little bun, isn't
it's
it?
kind of fat. Yeah, and then you open it, and you can basically fill it with everything that you want. I mean, everything's savory. So like
nothing
chicken
sweet.
or
There's no sweet arepas.
There are sweet versions of them, but even those you can eat with cheese, for example. But there are different types of arepas. The main difference. So, I mean, we own the arepas basically, and we are very proud and patriotic about it. It's because we eat arepas a lot. It's like it's one of our, it's one of the Venezuela eat either for breakfast or dinner, and a Venezuelan that doesn't know what an arepa is very weird, and a Venezuelan person that doesn't eat arepa at least once a week. But I'm talking about my experience in my house. We eat arepas for breakfast and dinner, so every day, and it's like that in many homes. So that's the main difference between Venezuela and the other countries that make arepas. In Colombia, it's very popular as well. They are a little bit different, and they eat it a lot as well. But okay, I'm not saying facts here, but I think Venezuelans eat them more. So,
are you ready to go fight for this? Is that what you're saying? Like,
well,
andale, let's go. Forget about the guitar. Arepas for life.
There are a lot of arguments about it. Like I mean, the Venezuela, the arepa is Colombian, no, the arepa is Venezuelan. You see, I keep saying Venezuela, but it's mainly between Colombia and Venezuela. Okay, but in Venezuela we eat one type in particular. We eat them all the time. In Colombia they have more varieties. We have different types, but there is one type of arepa that everybody eats all the time. So that's why I would say we own it so much. It's like, what are you talking about? We eat this every day, like we are this. So that's why we're so passionate about it.
So Venezuelans will make 20% out of arepas, is what you're saying. Like, there's corn in your DNA at this stage.
Yeah. So if you ever get the chance to try, I think it's totally worth it.
I've tried some in Glasgow.
There was a Venezuelan place in gallery in
Buchanan Galleries up at the top, yeah.
Buchanan Galleries, but they closed. I
actually happen to know the Venezuelan chef who used to work there. But...
that's good. I went only a couple of times. But if you ever meet a Venezuelan person, and also well, okay, let's not get into that. But if you ever meet someone and they tell you that they can make good arepas, then go and try them, because it's worth it. Or if you come to London, there are many Venezuelan places here, and
okay.
Good. So
okay, well that's all my questions. That is all my questions. I'm gonna stop the recording now, I think, because here we go.